house.
Putting out the insulation.
I've got insulation like all over me, so I'm like just wanting to itch and twitch, you know?
Oh, man.
So this time it's the insulation and not the crack. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, man.
Well, good evening, everybody out there in spray wash land. As things get rolling here, Ray has been out working all day putting together his power wash store, and got insulation all over him. So we were just chatting about him itching and scratching and all that kind of stuff.
This is actually one of those days where it's been like a three shirt day where I've had a crystal clean shirt on for part of the day. I've had a power wash store on for tonight, and then I've had, a construction shirt on for the majority of the day. So, yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out where the heck I am. So, and who is this good-looking guy sitting here joining us, Doug?
That is going to be Jody. Jody, why don't you? I'll explain here in a minute. But Jody, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh gosh, not much to tell. Pretty bland, boring, Let's see. Where do I start?
How many businesses do you have, Jody?
I am selling all of my businesses, so I'm getting ready to literally dump out of everything. So I just have a few left. At one time, I had 14 at once.
Wow!
And that was when it was a challenging time, and I was reading. I don't have the book with me, but I was reading a book, and it was telling me basically that you need to do your genius and not what you're good at. The one thing that you really enjoy and everything, and the thing that I really enjoy is being with my guys. It doesn't matter what we're doing. I just enjoy being with them, and I don't tell everybody this, but it embarrasses my guys if they're with me. So I don't say it in front of them, but I hire homeless veterans, and I hire people from recovery houses who are in church ministries. And
awesome.
So that's my passion. That's my love. I'm a pastor. I was raised in West Virginia. I went to college in Kentucky. I got a 4-year degree. I went to a seminary, got a master's degree from Southeastern Seminary in Wake Forest, North Carolina, little place. And then I went to New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary and worked on a doctorate, and decided I wanted to be a military chaplain. So I went through military training, officer basic course, joined Special Forces, started training as a Green Beret with all my guys, and then spent 10 years doing that on a demolition team, blowing up stuff and having fun. Just, simple stuff like that. And then they called us up, some of our officers, and they moved us into the combat engineers. And we led the combat engineers, one of the first strikes into Iraq on the ground.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So I was gone from my teenage daughters at that time for 2 years, and my wife. And that was the toughest part, I think, just being away from your family. And I was an Arabic specialist in seminary. I majored in theology, and I had a minor in Islam. And so
really, now wow!
So
I never knew that.
Yeah, but I never thought I would use it. I just knew that it was a really fast growing world religion, And so the only guy I had over me really was a 2-star general. And I was an advisor, and then he sent me out in the field to make peace with the local warlords and the local imams. Another boring time in my life,
Sounds like an extremely boring time.
Yeah, sounds like running 14 businesses wouldn't be a problem after.
Yeah, that's a relief.
That was the easy part.
Yeah,
that was the easy part. And so what my job was as a chaplain then was to go and make peace. And to do that, you went into their house. They have a room called a diwania. We call it the living room. And you eat with them, you smoke something with them. And because they smoked hashish in their hookah, and I didn't want to do that, I bought Cuban cigars, and we all smoked cigars together. We talk about our family, and then you talk business. And if you're not a family man, they don't respect you. And so I knew the culture, I knew the customs and all that. So they accepted me wholeheartedly. We had a great time and fell in love with my interpreter, who was killed later on in a taxi wreck of all things.
Oh,
Yeah. His name was Ali Shanshul Abed. And 2 days ago was the anniversary of his death. And I just looked at it on Facebook and sat there and cried a while.
oh,
Got that out. So
yeah.
we'll talk about it. I'll start there again. But the guy kept me alive a lot of times in Iraq, and kept me safe.
What unit were you with? What was your
I was
unit?
in the 1092nd Combat Engineers.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of our mutual friends, TJ Kaloff, was combat engineer as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Terrific.
Whoever came up with the saying "grown men don't cry" was not a man.
Exactly.
No,
grown men cry kind of regularly.
Nothing bothered me for 8 months. I saw, stuff that you shouldn't have to see, but for 8 months, nothing bothered me at all. And I had a bodyguard, I had a driver, and I sat in the back seat, and I had an interpreter. So there were 4 of us in my Humvee. And we were in a convoy, and we were headed north to Mosul from An Nazariya. And a little girl started walking toward the convoy. And we were third in line, so I could see her up in front of us. And, they walk in front of the convoy, they're dead. I mean, you don't stop. You can't. It's an ambush. They'll kill you all. Mm-hmm. And this little girl looked just like my baby Sophia. Oh. And man, I lost it. I mean, I literally tried to climb out of that Humvee and get that child. And I just thought, this is it. We're going to kill her. And I could just see my baby standing there. And so I grabbed my head and stuck it down in between my legs and just bawled my eyes out. And my interpreter said, "Sir," she walked away. So she just walked up. She walked up to the Humvee and she waved, and then she turned and walked away. And I'm telling you, I just about lost my mind that day. Nothing else ever bothered me. But it was seeing that little girl that looked like my baby, and it just tore me all to pieces. So, if you think I'm half nuts, then you're half right. I'm probably whole nuts. I'm all the way nuts,
There you go.
I got out of Iraq. Got ready to get out of Iraq. I was packing our stuff to come home. The night before we came home, I had a stroke. My kidney shut down because the food I was eating with the Nationals, the fish and things like that, I had bloodworms in my body and my kidney shut down. Had a stroke, left-hand side, paralyzed for a little while, things like that. Went to Germany, spent 6 months touring Germany out of the hospital, which was great.
Got to enjoy some of that Ramstein.
It was wonderful.
Hospitality.
Yes. And actually watched a soccer game in Ramstein. They call it football. I call it soccer, But anyway,
Football.
But I was at Launchville Regional Medical Center, and then they sent me to Walter Reed. And then I was going to come home. I was a captain, and I was supposed to be promoted to major. And the Army has a Army advanced course that your officers have to go through. And I had, perfect scores on everything. And I had really high officer evaluation reports. So there was no chance of me not being promoted. But I had to go through that school. Well, my 5 years in grade to go to the school hit right in the middle of my Iraqi tour. And they didn't want to let me go home, during a combat phase. Mm-hmm. So when I came home, I couldn't hardly walk across the room. I mean, literally, I could go to the bathroom and I just collapse. Mm-hmm. So after some rehab, I had an Air Force colonel call me, and he says, "We need a command chaplain in our Air Force." And I said, "Man, I'm there." And he said, because I knew I couldn't physically do the Army.
Wait, in Air Force? That's hell yeah.
I could ride a bicycle for 10 minutes, No offense, Air Force guys.
None whatsoever. Because
we had to. It didn't matter if you were 70 years old in Special Forces. You had to max out, the APFT and stuff. So I thought this will be a lot easier. So I showed up.
Jody, hang on. I got to interrupt you 1 second. There's a comment here. good night, Finn. I love you very much because I am
Aw.
actually doing the show from the studio tonight, and I wasn't at the house for him to crawl all over me like a little monkey. So I love you, Finn. I hope you have a great night, and I'm so sorry.
Good night, Ben. Sleep well, buddy.
Awesome.
He's our sometimes guest on the show. If you
Yeah,
ever,
yeah.
Awesome. Oh yeah, I've seen him. Cute little thing.
Yeah.
So I went up to the Air Force to sign in, did all that, and talked to the colonel there, and he said we don't have an officer advanced course, so I'm going to promote you to major right now. And he said, I'm going to put you in a lieutenant colonel slot. And he said, in 5 years, you'll be a full bird colonel. So I was like, man, this is it. I can skate the rest of my way through, and retire. So I went and took a physical, and the doc came out and he said, congratulations, sir. And I said, I've never been congratulated on a physical. He said, I'm not congratulating on your physical. I said, so what's the deal? He said, I'm congratulating you on your retirement. And I said, well, I'm not retired. And he laughed and he pulled out my medical file. It was, 12 inches thick. He said, you are now, sir. Go home. So that was the wimpy whimper end of my Army career.
Oh, man. You're like, hey, I still got something to give here.
Like,
Come on now.
I'll be back, guys. Give me a chance, So
Well, did you get the promotion before they retired you out?
No.
At least?
No.
No.
That's
So sent me home. I was done. Stuck a fork in me, and that was it. So I came home.
And obviously, I don't know if you're seeing the comments. So many people, thank you for your service.
I can't
and
see them,
again,
so thank you.
ditto from me and Doug and golly.
Nice. Thank you.
Hey, and real quick, for those of you that are on here, don't forget to share, share it out on your page, all that kind of fun, happy stuff. We'd appreciate it. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about taking your guys and training your guys to become sales. What was that quote that you said? I had written it down. And you said every person I have is a sales machine.
Right? That's right. That's right.
And I think that's. I think it's probably easier to do than most of us think about. And
my guys like to say cash machine, but I don't like to use the word cash ever.
Yeah.
Because I'm more afraid of a three initial group than I am any army that I've ever been.
Yeah. What is cash? Never heard of it.
Don't ever use the word cash.
It is funny, and you go through the progression of businesses, Jody, and I'm sure you've been there at some point, and you get you probably now you get the customers that go, well, what about, is there a discount for cash? No. It is honestly more of a pain for me to accept cash than it is for, to give you a discount. And I'm sorry,
Oh, yeah.
If anything, I'm going to charge you a little bit more.
No, I haven't said that yet. But you're right, and it exchanges hands, and you've got to make sure the handoff and the tracking with the CPA, and I'm just like, oh, geez, don't ever say the word cash. But they are sales machines. So you want to know how they become that, right?
That's it.
Okay.
What did you do to turn your guys into sales machines?
Doug, I'm still here. I'm just gonna remove myself because I want all the concentration to be on you two guys. I'm still here in the studio. I don't want to be a distraction.
Do the right thing.
We didn't want him around anyhow. Don't tell him I said that.
Well, I have a special group. And my guys, I have taught just like a Ranger training course, not the bad stuff, but the good stuff. And we do what's called a peering course. And we teach them what to look for when somebody shows up. And it's interesting. Some of my guys have been heroin addicts. They've been crack addicts. They've been homeless. And not only do they have compassion, but they also know all of the cons that are out there. Mm-hmm. And so we bring a person in, and the way I bring them in is they suggest them to me. They come up and they say, Doug, we've got this guy. and I think he's going to be a good employee. And they talk to them about how we dress, how we wear our uniforms, how we're always clean, hygiene. We're clean shaven. I mean, we go through all that before they even come on board. We have an expectation that is,
Mhm.
this is not just your average job. You're going to be privileged to have this job. You're going to start out with a guarantee of 40 hours a week. You're going to start out $15 an hour. You're probably going to get overtime. You're going to be forced probably sometimes overtime in the summertime
Mhm.
because, we don't hire anyone that we're going to give 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week. I just don't think that's fair, especially when somebody's struggling. You give somebody, 10 hours that's struggling, and it's a lot of pressure on them, and they
It
are
makes
pushed.
them struggle even more, I think,
It really does.
because now
And it
they're
pushes their
stuck in that
buttons
place where
back.
they're trying to do that they want to keep the job, but they're not making
Yeah.
enough. So now they have to go and so
Yeah.
that can be a horrible thing, I think.
Exactly. And we get up front their schedule. We expect them to go to Anonymous. We expect them to go to Alcoholics Anonymous. We expect them to go to counseling. And
Mhm.
so we have done this so much now that their counselors are on board with us.
Mhm.
And they will give us 2 nights a week for the counseling sessions and things like that. So we work around that schedule. If their counseling's in the daytime, they're night employees. If they're and vice versa. And so the first thing that we do is we try to teach them um, thoroughly about the way that we dress. And, um, whoa, you still there?
Yep.
Somebody just blew my phone up texting. Um, we're Our first thing is to teach them about uniforms. And our uniforms are not just uniforms. Our uniforms are part of our safety program.
Mhm.
We teach them about, sodium hypochlorite, about burns. We teach them about, all of the safety things. That's the first thing that we do every Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock when we meet. Wednesday is sort of a paid day off, but it's sort of not
Mhm.
because they do whatever I want them to do that day. But there's always training involved, usually from 9 to 12. And
Mhm.
that's a paid training. And afterwards, we go out to lunch somewhere nice. And so we start out with safety. We talk about uniforms. We talk about some of the guys have made the mistakes of walking too close to the muffler especially when they're changing tips or not paying attention.
Mhm.
They've ran into and got burnt, things like that. What to do when that happens? We have first aid kits in our trucks and burn cream, and we talk about different first aid things and treatments. That's the first thing, is safety first, and that's one of our mottos: safety
Mhm.
first. We never want someone doing something that's unsafe. If they're afraid, they don't do it. Someone else picks it up, or else we get the right equipment to do it.
So
And
you
so
do
that's
your meetings once a week? You do
Wednesdays.
it on
Yes.
Wednesdays, yeah. So
Yes.
we tried to do our meetings every single Monday morning, but we didn't do like you were doing, which I think is great, where you're taking, pretty much the entire day off. We would take just the morning, like an hour and a half,
Right.
to do a meeting. And I think that's super important to engage one-on-one with everybody. And that's what I would do. We would take them, we would have a group meeting, and then we would go one by one, into the back, and then that way they could converse with me on whatever that they wanted to. Um,
Right.
but that's interesting, taking the entire day and especially focusing mostly on safety. But I assume you talk about the sales stuff and about other things
Well,
as well.
the safety is first, and one of
Mhm.
the things that a lot of people have is called pride. And
Oh, very much so.
if they're big Pittsburgh Steelers fans, or if they're just the opposite, if they're big Dallas Cowboy fans or something, the thing that they want to do is they want to brand themselves. And that's the last thing really that an owner wants to do, is have someone else's brand out there. And so we
Mhm.
explain to them, and this is so simple, that the first thing that we see on our ball caps is that our ball caps have thread that's pure polyester. Okay. the reason that our whole ball cap is made out of polyester is not only is it repellent for the bleach and the chemicals, and it doesn't change colors and everything, that's part of our safety gear. And so instead of them wanting to wear a Pittsburgh Steelers ball cap, and whatever pride that they have, if they were a big hunter or an archery guy or whatever, then all of a sudden they realize this is what we wear. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, definitely. So
Yeah.
that's even a better approach too. So our hats too, same thing, polyester. I never, and I recognize that they are a safety device, and I would say that they were a safety device, but I didn't pitch it to my guys that way when they wanted to wear their own hat. And that's a really good way to approach the employees as far as, hey, this isn't a ball cap. This is a safety device. You have to wear it. Yeah, that's a great approach.
And when you take this safety hat off, there's either a hard hat or something else that's going back on in its place. So, we talk about the proper times, that it's proper time to do that and improper time to do that.
And I wanted to just, like I said, I'm watching and wanted to pop in, but the uniform is so important to the cohesiveness, I think, of a team. I mean, it's almost military in that respect.
I was going to say, that takes it back to the military.
And this is what we wear. We wear this hat and this shirt.
Yes.
I learned something blew my mind with Crystal Clean. So they issue everybody hoodies as well, even though we're in Florida and we don't need hoodies that much. But the hoodies have printed reflection strips on them as well. And their colors are, we look like highlighters whenever we dress in uniform. I mean, they're Doug's seen it. I mean, they're bright yellow. Anyhow, I realized the other day we were at the Budweiser plant working, doing a very large job, and we're there to look at the crews and look at some other ideas. Didn't bring our safety vest, but it's like, okay, wait a minute. We've got the hoodies, which have the reflective striping on there.
Yes.
Now we've passed safety inspection and we can go in. A lot of guys realize this, where they go off kind of half-cocked, I guess you'd say. This, like right now, we're working at an Amazon building. You don't walk on to the Amazon. You don't work at the Amazon without your safety vest, without your hard hat, without your goggles, without your proper footwear.
That's right.
It's the uniform,
Yes.
And that's the same thing with when I launched Cajun Soft Wash, and the green, all of the green that I had and the hats. A lot of that was centered around, first of all, I wanted the bright, brilliant, annoying color that is going to grab everybody's attention, number one. But number two is the safety aspect of it. I know that we're going to be seen, and if we go someplace, it helps us in the safety aspect. And when I'm selling, I also get to sell on the safety aspect simply because of the colors that we use.
Okay. Well, the second thing that we do in our meeting is we have what I call a tactical update brief, and I'm sure you've heard that somewhere before. And we talk about our operations from the last week, what happened. Well, first of all, we talk about what went right. And if somebody did an exceptional job with the Budweiser building and they came up with the idea that somebody was an idiot and forgot their reflective vest in the van and left everybody else's too, that somebody came up with the idea of, hey, let's put our hoodies on because it's got reflective gear on. So we talk about what went right, how to sustain that, how to repeat that next time. Second of all, before we pat everybody else on the back, and second of all, before we say anything wrong, we talk about some kind of reward, and it's funny. My guys are so funny. They literally love each other. I mean, they're like brothers. They'll say, let's give him a hug, and everybody will just bear hug the guy at one time. It's like, boom, everybody runs into each other. So it's just weird. I mean, I can't describe it, but it's pretty cool anyway. It doesn't have to be money or anything like that. These guys give each other high fives and hug each other, and it means something, because a lot of them don't have families, and so we become their family. But what went right always comes first. How to sustain that. Second of all, what went wrong, and we say this before we say this to everybody. I say this, and my trainers, my supervisors will say this. Listen, guys, we're not going to call you out for what went wrong to point a finger. If there's a safety issue, if there's something that cost us money, if something that, went wrong, we want to correct it. And we want you to tell us, the one who did it wrong. We want you to be the one to teach us how to correct that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll point it out. And this is the reason we do it Wednesday. We'll point it out to a Monday and say, you've got till Wednesday to figure this one out. They know what went wrong. They know what they did. One guy, for instance, stood up on a trailer. We were at this hospital. I mean, this hospital's, I don't know how many stories tall. And so he jumps up. We've got a guy over his head in a bucket truck, about 90 feet up. And this guy jumps up to get the hose off the trailer so that it's not, while the bucket's going up, the hose is going up, the pressure washing hose. And so he jumps up on the trailer tongue, the V part of it.
Right.
Of course, guy's been spraying all these stories and the soap's come down on that tongue. What does he do? He breaks his ribs.
Oh,
No one had to say what went wrong there.
no.
But guess what? He got to teach the next week. He got to teach safety, 3 points of contact, and I gave him a little PowerPoint thing. So I said, you're going to be the man, not to hop up on anything unless you have 3 points of contact. So we do the safety. We do the tactical update brief. And it's not always safety. It's anything that went wrong. Did a fuse blow in the truck? How did we correct that? Did we have a flat tire? What did we do? How did that operate? How did it go? After we do our update brief, then we do training. And there's a place called Spray Wash Pro that you may have heard of.
Might have heard of it.
Yeah, the first one that we ever did training. We used some of your stuff, and
I was going to say we've got all the great Agent Clean, toolbox talk. And I was just thinking as you were talking, I was like, boy, it sounds like you're doing toolbox talks, every week on here.
Let me tell you, I bring it from everywhere. I mean, literally, and it's not just training my employees for this job. The way I look at it is I am training my employees to live a better life. Some of them don't know how to manage their money. And you say, well, that's personal and that's none of my business. Well, excuse me, it becomes my business when I've had guys who couldn't manage their money and they thought they had to steal. They thought they had to take gasoline out of our tanks and put them in their car.
Or they can't show up for work because they can't afford gas for their vehicle.
That's exactly right. Bingo. And so what we do is a lot of training for life. And I will tell them this, we'll have a suicide prevention brief. I was a trainer, in the Army for suicide prevention brief. And I'll tell them this. I'll say, guys, I know that you know this stuff. And I know that you don't need it. But guess what? Doug, Raymond is going to need this later. Your buddy is going to need this later. And so they swallow their pride and they go, well, I'm going to learn this for Raymond,
Exactly.
I'm going to learn this for my buddy. I'm going to learn first aid. I'm going to learn, life-saving skills. I'm going to learn, suicide prevention. And so we cycle these things, but I try to give them, a yearly cycle. And I use everybody's stuff. I mean, our best program that we had in Special Forces was called SOPS, and that's Steal Other People's Stuff. And I learned to do that. You don't ever have to be original. You don't ever have to invent the wheel. There's Facebook, there's YouTube, there's all these gurus out there who are getting paid a gazillion dollars for these, forums and things like that. And I just train them for life. And it's sort of a weird relationship because I feel like I'm babysitting sometimes. And they look at me as a father figure. And I'm not saying it to brag. I'm just saying that that's just our dynamic. And I try to be there for them for everything. But we go through a lot of life training. And then number 4, we talk about advertising. And that's why we're here tonight to talk about. If you look above my head, there's just a little small business card up there.
Mhm.
That's my business card. And my guys carry one of these little boxes
Yep.
in every truck. And every truck, it's got my business card and their business card.
I was going to say your business card or their.
That's right.
Card.
It's their business card.
Yeah.
And it is really nice. It's really thick. And that means a lot. And it's slick. And this is a blow up on the wall of what the thing looks like. And whenever I developed my business card, I didn't develop my business card. I sat my guys down and I said, what do you think we ought to have on a business card? And so they had ownership in that business card. They don't throw that thing around lightly. I order them 5,000 at a time, so they throw them around, but it's not lightly. They understand what went into that business card. We have a phone number there, and I'm talking to you on my phone, and this is our business phone. It's an iPhone 12, and whoever is on duty for calling, if you go, I don't know if most people know this, but if you go into your settings and then you hit phone and you scroll down, there's a button that's called forwarding.
Yep.
Did you know that was in your phone?
I didn't know that was in my phone, but I know you can dial *73 and then a phone number. I think it's *73 or *72.
Well, you just
and then a phone number and then that forward.
Okay. What we do is we have Apple products, and so we scroll down to where it says forward. We hit the button forward. We turn it on, and it says, what number do you want it forwarded to? And so we forward it to this number. So whoever's on duty, we train them to answer the phone politely and correctly. Thank you for calling Jody's Mobile Services. What can I do to help you, sir or ma'am? And we want that phone answered within 3 rings.
Yes.
3 rings. If it's not answered, before 3 rings, we got a problem. And we intentionally hand off our phone if someone is going out of service, if someone's going out into we have, West Virginia, there's a lot of places we don't have service, and so we hand off the phone to one another, and we practice that. I mean, we make everybody stand up in front of everybody. At one time I had 42, 43 employees full time. And so we embarrassed the soup out of them, Hey, Doug, stand up and answer the phone. Oh, man. I mean, you can't be shy in this group. You won't last long. You're going to be getting one of Pat's pizzas,
So you have every single employee at some point is in charge of answering the phones.
Absolutely. And every single employee is in charge of training the next employee how to do it. We have a peering program. Whenever someone is hired, they're suggested by our group. Whenever they're hired, we tell them, we don't have a permanent job for you yet, though we do. We tell them in 2 weeks, we're just going to give you 2 weeks to work for us. If you like it, then you can tell us whether you like it, and we'll see whether you fit in or not. And if you fit in, then we're going to try to make a job for you. And so, sorry, I'm getting hot. We're going to make a job for you. And we already have a job for them. So if they don't fit out in 2 weeks, at the end of 2 weeks, we sit down in our conference room and we say, what do you think, guys? And they say, man, this guy's great. We've got to hire him. We can't do without him. Or they're going to say, man, this guy sucks. He's lazy. He's not responsible. He doesn't take credit for his mistakes, and I showed him this thing 15 times. So 2 weeks, we cut him. There's no, and sometimes before then, if I have a peer group, which is 4, if I have 4 guys come in and they know to do it, 4 guys come in at once and they say, I know this guy is only here for the first day. He's got to go. We cut him that day.
Yeah.
I cut him a check right then or give him cash if it's not very much, Don't say the C word, I know, but we cut him, we cut him loose right then.
We talked about this.
Yeah, he's gone. So I'm correcting myself. But the first thing we teach them is the value of a business card. Everywhere they go, if they go to Wendy's to eat a hamburger, they drop a business card. They are a sales machine. It got sort of ridiculous because for a reward this year, I took 5 of my leaders up to Montana. And we spent a week on vacation in Montana at the Glacier National Park.
Oh, awesome.
And we flew up there, and because it was a tax write-off, to make it a tax write-off, I called the guys up at Kalispell who do a lot of fleet washing. And I said, how about you train my guys and for 2 days? And the guy said, sure, we'd love to. And here's your price. So we flew up to Kalispell, Montana. And we spent the first day with him. The next 5 days, we toured the Glacier National Park, and we had a great time. And here we are in Montana. This is literally 2,000 miles from home, and I get up early. I mean, the Army just ruined me. I can't sleep past 4:30. At 4:15, my eyes go on. I'm sitting there staring at that phone, waiting for 4:30 to go off to silence it. And roll. So I get up 4:30. So I get up 4:30.
I'm a late sleeper, 5 a.m.
Yeah, that's right. So I get up at 4:30 and I go downstairs, and they've got one of those things I call it a pancake printer. You just push the button and these little paper thin pancakes come out. And I'm sitting there at the pancake printer, and something catches my eyes. You know what it is? It's my business card. This is 2,000 miles away, and my guys have laid business cards. They were just in the habit of laying them down.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So I was just, joking them later. I said, which one of you is going to take that call? But I train them wherever you go, you leave the business card. And, it's places that we go. We're on the turnpike. West Virginia has a paid for turnpike that you got to pay for, like the Pennsylvania Turnpike and all that. And they'll hand them to the guys at the turnpike. And,
awesome.
I mean, it's just amazing. But that is our number one sales tool. Number two sales tool.
Hold on one second, Jody. Let me interrupt you for just a second.
Yes.
I want to make sure we keep up with some of the questions. So, Tift Area Pressure Washing is asking, where are you located at in West Virginia?
I'm located in Charleston, West Virginia. It's the capital city.
Gotcha. And then Thomas, the Train Toys and More, says he hired a job coach to hold us responsible for property damage, and I killed some rare orchids. I was never trained on SH percentages. We used to upstream 12% and get our surfactant at the dollar store. That's not really a question. That's more of a statement. And yeah,
that's more of a statement.
Training is super, super important.
And listen, we've all done that. There's no one in this business, unless they're a liar, will tell you
liar or brand new, haven't sprayed
they never killed anything. I mean, come on, guys.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So
that's right. That's right.
So every single guy, once they make it past that 2 weeks for you, gets a 5,000 count business cards.
No. Every truck gets a box. Every truck gets a box.
It's a box of business cards, but the business cards are your name, not their name.
No, they're actually they're not. You can look at the face of it up here.
So it doesn't have anybody's name on it.
Right.
Gotcha.
The face of it is Soft Wash Specialist at the top, right there. And then it's Jody's Mobile Services, and then it's our website, and then it's our phone number. To the left, it says the highest quality cleaning since 2005. We started Jody's Mobile Service in 2005. So it looks like I've been in business for 17 years. However, before then, I can't mention the name because of a lawsuit. But I owned a franchise. I had 8 vans on the road that belonged. I was paying dues to a franchise, and you understand what that means.
Yep.
And on the back of our card, that's the front of it. It says 100% guaranteed. And it's got a little symbol, Spray Wash Pro.
Spray Wash Pro.
On it. And it says, discover our soft wash method and why it's the easiest way to clean your home. We do house washing, roof cleaning, deck cleaning, gutter cleaning, antique restoration, sanitizing services, painting, and just, a few other services. And then gives our phone number again, our website again. And so these are not for anyone in particular. They're for everyone to share. So sometimes, they'll call that number and ask for a particular one, which is fine. We'll just forward the call to them.
Mhm.
So it's
So you
sort
don't
of,
you don't leave a spot. Like one of the things that I did. So my lead techs would get their own cards with the company phone number on it. But then we also had at one point cards where the technician could write in his name.
yeah.
But I definitely see the point either way. So the next thing, aside from
Well, let me
business
tell you
cards,
why I don't do that.
sure.
I had an employee who was an excellent employee. He could clean a house quicker than the rest of the guys could get the equipment off the truck. And he had his own business cards. Everyone had their own business cards. And I allowed them at that time, which I don't now, to take all the trucks home with them.
Mhm.
And so all of a sudden he had a
Side jobs.
$400,000 house making $60,000 a year. And I was doing the math in my head. It just didn't make sense. So
Yeah.
then
Side
I
jobs.
decided there was going to be one number that went
Mhm.
through my business, and I was going
Yeah.
to control that number.
No, I absolutely agree with having a singular number, not having your guys give out their number. It's
Yeah,
always to give out your number. Period. End of
yeah,
story. But we did
exactly.
have where they had their own cards, but their
Yeah.
cards had our number on it.
Oh,
So
good.
they'd have to
Yeah,
call and say, "Yeah, I was looking for Jody," or
yeah.
Jody gave me his card.
Okay.
That way we knew where it was coming from, but it
Yeah.
was always the company number. Period.
Gotcha.
End of story. So,
Gotcha.
but
Okay.
that's good. So
So the
what's the
first,
next thing that you do?
the first thing, of course, was greeting on the phone.
Mhm.
Second thing was branding, uniforms. This is a supervisor's uniform.
Mhm.
Um, Pardon me for a moment. This is not a striptease. Um, this is this is a worker's uniform that is a supervisor, and then the rest of them we have the t-shirts
Mhm.
that are the t-shirts that are polyester with our print on it. But after that, teaching the phone, we teach the cards, and then we teach what we call the election process. Okay. Um, Let me show you this. This is one of my signs I'm getting ready to put up. And this is my election campaign. I am running for the county school board.
Oh, very cool.
So me and two other guys, we teamed up together, and there's a 5-member school board, and we're going to flip the county school board. We've got a $42 million school being built within the
Wow.
next 2 years in our school, and the term is a 4-year term. And we would like to oversee the building of that school and its finances.
Mhm.
Not to say our political process has been less than honest in our county, but usually the way that we change politicians in our county is the FBI picks them up, handcuffs them, and they're gone. That happens about every 10 years,
Very cool.
So we would
Sounds
like
like
for,
New Orleans.
yeah, but what I train my guys is it's the same thing as running an election, and we want these people to elect us to be their service provider. And so we have people are blowing my phone up right now. Sorry, I keep touching the phone. That's what I'm doing is
Not a
text
problem.
messages. But we tell them that we are running to be the greatest service provider around. And what we do is we strategically place our signs throughout the county. Our county is 420 square miles.
Wow.
And so it's a large county for West Virginia. I know California would probably, laugh at it, but
Mhm.
land mass, there's a lot of land there with no people on it. And so we want to get our signs strategically located that are the large signs like that.
Uh-huh.
Second of all, in election, you have the small signs. And so small signs are where smaller numbers of people are. And so we point out, these are where we're going to put our signs periodically. They're going to tear them down, they're going to
Mhm.
throw them away. We're going to put them right back up after
Yep.
they tear them down, throw them away. We put them in customers' yards. We do all that. We teach them at least a 4 around. And if it's a subdivision, it's a 5 around, and everyone probably knows what that means is when you are
just
going
to
to
explain
customers.
real quick, if
Yes,
it's a 4 around, basically the house that you're working on, you go to 4
the
houses
4
around
corners.
or
Yes,
5 houses around. That's why it's
right.
called 4 around.
And if you're in a cul-de-sac and you're at the beginning, we go around the cul-de-sac, and a lot of times we'll do either a door hanger, but a lot of times we'll put the business cards in the door. And if it's a, an afternoon, it's Saturday, and there's a lot of people home, we'll go ahead and knock on the door. And we're going to say, Mrs. Jones, we're sorry about the noise, even though we use 12-volt pumps, We'll say, Mrs. Jones, we're sorry about the noise, but our truck's going to be out in front of your house for about, an hour. And here's your business card. If you need anything at all, we'll just move our truck out of the way. We're not in the way, We'll move our truck out of the way just in a heartbeat. And she looks at the card and she looks at us and, what are you doing over there? So immediately you've got a conversation struck up, And I train my guys, from the beginning. We have a driver and we have a tech on every truck. We don't have single guys running along
right. Same here.
on their own, just for safety reasons. One time I thought I was Mr. Macho, and I was climbing roofs and things by myself, doing these big buildings by myself. And I got at the end of the cul-de-sac and I pulled my hose and the ladder went crashing down. And I sat up there, and I'm a white boy. You can't tell that in the sun because I'm so bald, but I'm a pallid white boy. And I sat up there with nothing over my head for like 2.5 hours in like a 90-degree day on a black roof. And I swore that was the last time that would ever happen.
As soon as you mentioned bald,
Done that.
We have another war story.
there you go. But I think it's important to mention or talk about something that you mentioned. And so before I go that way, I'm going to ask you a question. So your signs that you put out, somebody comes and takes the signs that you put out, and then what do you do again?
We just put them back.
Okay, and then they disappear, and then what do you do after that?
We just put them back.
look, so how many
and the city calls and they say, you jackass, what are you doing putting your sign back? I'll say, I'm so sorry. We must have a new guy in the crowd. And then we go put him back.
But the point of it is that so many people, I can't put my sign there because they keep taking it down. I'm not putting my sign.
Oh, no.
Man, you keep putting it up, you keep putting it up, and you keep putting it up. And when they take it down, you put it up because it only takes that one call from 5 signs that makes up. I mean,
absolutely.
You keep going.
Doug, that's why. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
People talk about expense and things like that. We give these hats to our customers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what better advertisement, than to have one of these floating around, We'll go fishing and we'll be on the boat, and we'll look on the bank and here's a dude over there with one of our hats on. We're like, hey, baby, that's cool,
I mean, this is why they don't sell yard signs in lots of one. I mean, and you buy 50 or 100 yard signs at a time. You
minimum 100.
I can't tell you how many guys that I've talked to. Well, I've tried that once, and I tried door hanging once.
We teach our guys 7 touches.
Yeah.
7 touches. You've got to touch a customer 7 times before they're sold. 7 touches.
Yeah.
So then we put the big signs up strategically. Then we put the small signs up strategically. We go back and put them up. We put them in customers' yards. We teach them then how to talk to a customer. So many people don't have social skills.
Exactly.
And these are life skills. And we tell them what you're doing when you show up to someone's house is you are literally applying for a job. Okay?
That's exactly it.
Because you're applying for the job that they have scheduled you to do at their house. And so you walk up, you knock on the door, you say, hello, my name is Raymond. It's nice to meet you. Are you Mr. or Mrs., whatever their name is? Well, tell us, how long have you lived here? Has nothing to do with cleaning, does it? Sure doesn't. Well, that's great. Sometimes they'll tell you, well, we just live up here, and this is common in our part of the woods. This is our vacation home. We're looking at $1 million home in front of us.
Mhm.
We live in Florida, but we come up here during the summer, you know. I was like, wow, that's impressive. Guess what? We're going to do every service that we can possibly do to sell those people.
Right.
And so that's what they're doing when they're introducing themselves, is what we're really doing is fishing. We want to have a personal relationship. We want them to know our name. We want to know their name. We'll ask what their dog's name is, and then we'll write it down.
Absolutely.
We'll write it down. And, you know, everyone has all these fancy systems and they pay all this money, and God, you know, you guys forgive me if you're selling them, but let me tell you what we do. We take out our iPhone and we put in Doug, Raymond. We put in the dog's name. We put in the address down there in the address field. We say, we would like to thank you, send you a thank you card. And we send them Christmas cards and Valentine's cards. And when it's real impressive, when you call our number, I answer it. Hello, Mrs. Smith.
Yep.
How is everything on 1516 Juniper Street? And how's Roy, your big strapping baby boy Irish setter, you know? And she's just like, oh my God, he remembers me. I don't remember her. The iPhone does.
That's exactly it. I did a video quite some time back about that, you know, know their name and say their name or something like that. So when they call you, they become a customer or a potential customer or whatever. As soon as you hang up the phone, you get in the habit of putting their name in the phone, so that next time they call, you can say, oh, hey, Mr. Jody, how are you, when you answer the phone. And so they're like, that's impressive that you know who they are, and they like that. And then they might even say to you something like, caller ID, I get it. No, you know, we don't have caller ID. You're very important to us, and so we plugged you into our phone.
Well, and it's even more so in our situation, because we are, Raymond will tell you this, we are 98% industrial and commercial. One of my customers, I thought, I lied the last time I talked to you guys. I said he does $700,000 worth of business with us a year. Last year I checked on it and he did $780,000. So I'm sorry I lied to you, but he does $780,000. And you bet at 2:00 in the morning, if Joe calls,
your answer,
you know, there's going to be a smile on the other end of that line. There's going to be an answer. Yes, sir. We understand one of your trucks has spilled 30 gallons of diesel in New York. It's only an 11-hour drive. Don't worry about it, sir. We're on the way.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it doesn't matter if it's down in Raymond's neighborhood in Florida. I'm not going to call Raymond. I'm sorry, Raymond. I'm going to go down there.
You're going to go do it. I mean, in these services,
absolutely,
they pay, and they pay well, and they pay. You know, I was, Doug and I were laughing.
Raymond, he doesn't even ask me how much
the price is. You know, there was somebody, you know, with
everybody wants it done cheap, right?
There was somebody with in one of the forums, and they were laughing because there was a Fleet Wash, which is the parent company of the company that bought us, but a Fleet Wash Pennsylvania truck doing a like a Sam's or a Costco in like Tampa or something. And he's like, and he was going, well, golly, you know, we only got $385 for doing these Walmarts. And I can't believe they drive all the way down from Pennsylvania. What lowballing hacks to you know, come down here and do this. And I'm laughing. I'm like, you can't really sit there and say a lot about these numbers.
You can't tell them it's a $20 million account.
Yeah, you know, we're not doing those. I mean, it's about 10 times that amount. And furthermore, whenever you've got trucks in 35 states, we might borrow a Pennsylvania truck that may wind up in North Carolina, and then it may wind up in Alabama, and then may wind up in Tampa. Or you know, there's guys working on the circuit that do nothing but Costco's or Walmarts, you know, along
Ask John Jaylock if it works out for him.
Yeah.
That's John Jaylock.
Yeah,
he goes everywhere.
Exactly.
In my neighborhood.
How many Home Depot roofs has that boy been on in his life? You know.
God bless him. God bless him.
You know,
Never
and it
hurt.
just takes one or two great customers like that. But you're exactly right. I mean, you're answering that phone at 3 a.m. with a smile on your face, and how can we help you? And thank you. And your people do not. I think especially a lot of the newer guys in some of the smaller forums, they don't sit there and believe that you'll ever get 4 and 5 and figure jobs without providing an estimate. And they think that this is about low price and this is about, and
Very rarely.
guys, it's about relationship.
Relationship.
It's about your
Bing,
relationships.
bing, bing, bing.
Oh, at least the business that you want is about
Yes.
relationships.
Yes.
You want to know something? We have people on here pretty regular, and you know, a lot of times these conversations come up, and these are not staged, they're not rehearsed, they're not anything like that. We didn't tell Jody to say anything like that. He's saying it of his own free will, and these are the things that we talk about all the time: relationships, relationships, relationships. You know, if you get a phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning and you say, you know, from your best customer, and I'm not answering that.
Oh.
That's if you know, especially that. Now I may have my phone off at 2 a.m. But if I know that I have a customer that's going to call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, absolutely I'm answering that phone call, and absolutely it is going to be a yeah, absolutely. How are you? I'm happy. No, you didn't wake me up. Actually, I had just got up to grab a cup of coffee or a glass of water. Perfect time. Perfect time.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yes, sir. You're exactly right. So we you know, of course we do our branding through everything that we have, our trucks, our cars. You know, you've seen our little smart car that's got our brand on it. You've seen our 16-foot box trucks and you know, lifts and things. Everything's branded. But because of that, the next thing that we do after we talk about advertising is we do PMCS on the vehicles. We go and we do the mileage, we do the filters, and you know, we how are the brakes on the trucks. You know, we test the lights, we test the trailer lights, we do the equipment after that, and then we wash everything. There's no reason to brand everything if you're not going to wash your darn truck. I see cleaning companies all the time, and I'm like, dang, I don't want them cleaning my place. They can't even clean their own stupid
You can't
truck.
have a clean truck, you know. Yeah.
A clean
It's
truck.
bizarre. Just bizarre.
You know, I will say this. Brandon Vaughn had done a video once a long time ago about, you know, catching his guys with cleaning out the insides of their trucks as well. And that was one of the things that I definitely was lacking, and I shouldn't have, but I didn't give them as much of a hard time about the inside of their vehicles as I probably should have, you know, because it is about building that atmosphere and that respect of the equipment and the stuff that you have.
Well, I'm sort of fortunate on that. I've got a guy, and you've seen the series Monk, where you know, the guy's just meticulous.
Yeah.
I have him
compulsive. Yeah.
I have my Monk to come in an hour early.
Nice.
And he comes in, and man, he meticulously cleans the cab. He cannot stand, like, if somebody put a candy wrapper, he goes off on them. Do you see this? You left this in your truck. I don't have to say a word. And they always complain, oh my God, take your water bottle out. The Monk's going to be here tomorrow. So I always get a guy like that in my crew that I can depend on to jack everybody else up for me. So I'm not the bad guy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then it's not you ragging on them; it's them ragging on them.
On each other.
Absolutely. There's nothing better than peer pressure when you got a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It certainly helps the other guys step in line and conform. Absolutely. 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So in the election, you knock on the door and you try to, you know, to sell yourself to the customer. You build a relationship so that they'll vote for you. And that's the way we train our guys. It's sort of an election process, you know, and then you follow up. And you guys have had classes that you've taught on that before. You know, a lot of people told me this is the first thing I've ever ran for in my life, and hopefully, I'm trying to break the record for the county, the record votes. Literally, I mean that's what my goal is, to break the record for one person, vote. But I'm running against the most popular guy in our county. He's in my district, and I'm doing it intentionally because I think that the old guard needs to be replaced. But what I was going to say was, when we talk about elections, to a lot of people, you knock on their door and they'll look at you and they'll say, "Oh, are you going to be one of those guys that shows up?" Listen to this real carefully. Every 4 years. In other words, Doug and Raymond, are you going to be the guys that only call me when you want something? Did you catch that?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, don't be that guy.
Yeah.
Occasionally just drop them a line, text them, Merry Christmas. I realized on Facebook, because I love to Facebook friend them all. I realized on Facebook it's your granddaughter's birthday. How's she doing, man? Saw where your wife is in the hospital. I mean, you build that. Don't you be the guy that just goes out with his hand out for something every time. Right. And a lot of people are tired of these politicians because they say, well, he comes around and
every 4 years.
He eats with us, every 4 years, but the rest of the time, you can't even find the guy,
Right.
When they're wanting their baseball field taken care of, when they're wanting, they have a problem when you're on school board with the school issue, they can't even find those jokers,
Mm-hmm.
So, man, follow up, build the relationship. And it's so interesting that, so often you guys have had it happen. You go to a guy's house and it's just like looks like a normal house to me. I live in an extremely nice house. So most houses that are nice in our neighborhood, they look like my house, but we don't think a lot of it. And come to find out, this guy is, the guy who's the decision maker for 12 locations, and you can fill in the blank.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've built a relationship with him. He looks at us real funny and he goes, do you think you guys could handle 12 locations? And we're just
yes,
like,
sir.
wow.
I think we could.
Yeah, I think we could. Yeah.
It's
had 94 Walgreens, sir, in West Virginia. I think we could.
But what you're just saying reminds me, and I swear that this was just where God had my back on this. But I got into this sounds strange, but I got into a Roy Clark and also an Alison Krauss and Union Station kick for a little while. Yeah. And so I've always loved bluegrass, but I was really, really, really watching like YouTube videos and just everything that was out there about Roy Clark. I was just absorbing.
One of the most talented musicians
truly was ever. One of the best guitarists ever. Now it's funny that you say that.
And violin and fiddle and.
But it's funny that you say that because Tanya had me go out on just one of these quarterly, let's go see our customers. And this is one of our largest customers, the facilities manager at one of the largest customers we have. And it wasn't going out there with the hand out and saying, give us business. It was literally a social call on him.
Yeah.
And good. He and I wound up talking about Roy Clark, and it was his opinion as well about the most talented guitarist absolutely ever, and he goes, and did you know that Roy Clark was actually a little bit upset with Hee Haw because, in some interviews, he said that might have detracted from his, people thought less of him skill wise because of him seeing him as a hick in overalls, every week. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, he loved doing that very much. And the conversation wasn't about washing. It wasn't about this. It wasn't about that. It was literally about Roy Clark and then a little bit about Alison Krauss, because I said she has a voice of an angel thrown in there.
Yes.
He absolutely loves bluegrass and is one of Roy Clark's biggest fans. And then, a week after there, magically about $30,000 in purchase orders appeared.
Yes, sir.
On our and we're not doing that just to get that money at all, but because you're thoroughly enjoying that relationship. You're thoroughly enjoying these relationships you're making with people. You're not just doing it for the money, because you're enjoying the heck out of the people, you know?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
At least
People
you should
do
be.
business with people they like.
Yeah,
That's a
absolutely.
bottom line. If they
Bottom
don't like
line,
your
people do
company, you can
business
be the
with people they like.
cheapest, you can be the best, you can be whatever you want to do. But if you don't click with them in relationship, man, you just need to walk.
Yep.
Mhm.
You're going to get somebody that's going to buy from you if they don't like you because you've got the cheapest price. But that's really, I mean, if that's the client that you're after, you're totally going about business the wrong way.
There's always someone else can do it cheaper. There's always someone else can do it better. There's always someone else can do it, whatever you fill in the blank. But listen, when they call you, that's what they want. My customers will call me and they'll say, and I'll say, sure, I can get someone out there. Oh no, don't just get someone. I want Michael.
Right.
I want Sean. I want Josh. I want Chris. Chris, a guy that works for me, he is literally one of the best piano players in the country. And he's played for like Southern gospel groups that, were #1 charts and stuff like that. Well, when COVID hit, guess what happened? There's no more concerts, right? Mm-hmm. So it's so funny. Chris will go and watch someone's house and he'll look in and he'll say, you play the piano? Well, guess what? Man, he's in there just, and it never fails. They'll call him and say, hey, you got that piano playing Chris down there? Yes, ma'am, we do. Will you have him to come out and watch my house? And will you let him play the piano while he's here?
I think one of the first times when I had one of my customers ask for one of my guys, Raymond, who happened to be my brother-in-law, also with me the longest time. When she asked for him specifically over me, that was actually a really good time for me, because you would think that oh man, no, she's supposed to ask for me. No, I love that she was asking for my guy Ray, and knew him by name, knew the other technicians by name, all of that. Well,
he knocked it out.
Ray's coming out here, right? Yes, ma'am. Yeah. It's going to be Raymond. He's going to be there. He'll take care of you. That's awesome.
And I'll say this: the best thing I ever did was get off the trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you guys say that, but I want to repeat that again.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I ever did, guys.
Yeah. You know what? There's one of you and there's a dozen of your employees. You know, I mean, that's the time is the great equalizer that we all have in our lives. I mean, each one of us has 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And, unless you use these force multipliers, which our employees are a force multiplier, you're going to be learning 24 hours and 7
like
days.
You guys, I'm at the point in my life where the only thing I got to do, I've got a little Finn just like yours, and he jumps up in my lap and wraps his arm around me, and I've got a little 5-year-old, and I've got a little 2-year-old, and I've got one on the way in the oven. So, man, there's nothing like it.
I'm not there yet, and I'm hoping I'm not soon. I don't know why. I'm just not. I'm looking forward to being a grandfather, but it's my daughter.
We literally bug our daughters about, so can y'all like give us more grandkids? And they're like, we're not even dating anyone. We're like, we don't care. I mean, the grandkids are so much fun that
they're just wonderful. Yeah, wonderful.
Go to the doctor.
There you go. Well, Jody, we've taken up an hour of your time. We got plenty of time for you if you want, but we don't like to keep people for too long.
Thanks for having me. Had a good time.
Yeah.
Well, and thank you so much. And again, thank you for your service and good luck with the school board race. And I hope you do break that record. And I bet if anybody could, with that personality, you can, because that's pretty darn amazing. And Lord knows our schools, they need all the help they can get right now. So
that's a fact.
Yeah, my wife was a school teacher for 35 years, so I know a little bit about it.
Yeah, we need help in the schools. We need help in the police areas. I mean,
District attorney's
Yeah,
offices. Yeah,
you know,
we need help.
yeah, we just need help. Yeah.
But you know, it's up to us to train them for life.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and you guys know we're not just selling bleach. We're not just selling services. We're changing people's lives. We
Yeah.
are training them for life, and hopefully, they're training others. That's my thing with my guys. I just love them because, man, they just love on everybody else. They train their guys too. You know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, throughout the years, I have had so many employees, and it may have ended. It may have ended well. It may have ended poorly, but they have come back. Sometimes it takes a little while.
Yeah.
Come back and literally said, best job I ever had. You and Miss Tanya were the best bosses I ever had. You know, I really realized that, you know, you were like a father figure, and you know, I can't tell you how much, you know,
respect.
you impacted my life for the better, and taught me how to be, you know, a good employee, a good man, a good, you know, all that. And that probably does you better in there than anything else.
It does. It really
Absolutely.
does. It does. And I'll sing them out somewhere. And of course, my wife, after 35 years of teaching, you know, we're just hugging everybody. We get in the mall, you think we're rock stars. It's crazy.
Wow, who are they? Are they famous now? He just owns a pressure washing company and a teacher.
Yeah, they're just out of the cleaning business. Yeah, they're nobody.
Yeah. But that's what, again, it goes back to that whole thing of building relationships, and that's it to me is one of those great things where when you go somewhere, and you know, my kids would say, Dad, is there any place you can go where people don't know you? And I'm like, no, I hope that they know me, because that means I'm doing my job correctly. And
That's
I'm,
right.
you know, that the fact that they know you. And I mean, the sad part about it is I don't recognize them 99% of the time. You know, I mean, I might recognize them, but I don't know their name. And then they can come up and say, hey, Doug, how are you? And, you know, it's just a great thing when you build those relationships. And that is what the game is all about, you know, and it's about helping people. And that's all part of it.
I had an old man tell me one time, and I'll let you guys go. I know you got grandkids and other things to do, but I used to have an old man to tell me all the time, because I got a Presidential Scholars Award. I didn't have to pay for my, you know, my seminary, my graduate studies, and you know, learning was pretty easy to me, and I was teaching the other class members and things like that. And he looked at me real funny one time, and I think this is one of the best things I've ever heard. He said, "No one really cares how much you know until they know how much you care."
It's true.
That's very true. Yeah. That's a good thing. That's a good place to end it.
All right.
Jody, I appreciate you. Hang on here just a few minutes.
Thanks, brother.
Everybody out there in Spray Wash Land, we really appreciate you for watching us, giving us the time of day. So normally it's 2 old men, and now you got 3. So there you go.
Exactly. Here it is.
Time to wake up.
Yeah.
We'll see y'all next
It's
week.
over.
We're not really doing the Thursday lives right now, but we are still hitting the Monday lives, and we'll see y'all next week.
I think we're going to try to change around those Thursday lives whenever I wind up at the store. Maybe you can do like the lives from the store whenever
from the store. Yeah,
gets up. No, might be kind of fun.
That would be fun.
Yes, sir. Jody, thank you again. We sure appreciate you, sir.
Peace out, y'all.